Hello students. Today we are discussing very important chapter of 10th class sources of energy. First we should understand what is the good source of fuel. Fuel are those substances which burn themselves to gives us energy. First point is written it should have a very high output per unit mass or volume. It means its calorific value must be very high. I can give you one example. For example, if any substance, if you burn 1 gram of it and produces 20 kilojoule energy, whereas another substance of 1 gram gives you 50 kilojoule energy, it means calorific value of second substance is more than that of first substance. Second point, it should be easily available. Third point, it should be easy to store and transport. And fourth, it should be economical. Few more points I am going to introduce. First, it should be pollution free. It means it should be a clean fuel. It shouldn't produce any harmful gases. Next, it shouldn't leave any residue after burning. Next, its ignition temperature should not be very high and very low. Next, it shouldn't be useful for any other purpose rather than burning. Next, it should burn smoothly. It shouldn't burn with explosion. Now after that we talk about sources of energy. So there are two main sources of energy we calculate. One is conventional source of energy which we use on daily basis like wood, flowing water, fossil fuels, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. And next is non-conventional sources of energy. For example, solar energy we use, wind energy we use, biomass which we also known as biogas plant, ocean energy, that is tidal energy, which we are going to study further, ocean thermal energy which is also known as OTE, this we also learn and we will study here, geothermal energy which we are again going to study, nuclear energy also. So it is written some sources of energy are renewable like sun, wind, flowing water, ocean, wood, biomass, etc. What are renewable sources of energy which you can produce again and again? It means they will not vanish, but some are going to be vanished. It means we cannot use for a long period of time, since we are using from very long period of time, but after some years we are not able to use them because they will end, they will vanish. So they are known as non-renewable sources of energy like coal, petroleum and natural gas. Now we understand them more. Conventional sources of energy, fossil fuels is the very first point. How the formation of these fossil fuels takes place? Actually, they are formed because of dead decaying parts of plants and animals which were buried deep inside the earth so many years back. And because of excess pressure and temperature, they were converted into fossil fuels. And definitely the action of bacteria is also responsible for the same. Now, what are the disadvantages of fossil fuels? They produce harmful gases. We know that lot of gases they produce when we burn them. Now, they are also producing acidic oxides, sulfur and nitrogen. Because of that, acid rain also came, which harmful for our body also as well as for buildings, plants, everything. Now, it is producing carbon dioxide. When you burn fossil fuel, it produces large amount of carbon dioxide, which is increasing the temperature of our atmosphere. That means they are responsible for global warming, also known as greenhouse effect. All of you can see that in this figure, we can see that the factories are producing these harmful gases. They are going with the help of wind up, and now these gases dissolve in rainwater, and when the cloud rains, they come on the earth, and this is known as acid rain. It kills plant life, pollutes rivers and streams, and erodes stonework. Like that we can see here, Taj Mahal is there. Nowadays we are just working hard to clean it up, but still lot of problems are there. Second, some sunlight that hits the earth is reflected from some, and the earth becomes hot, some it is reflected back. Now if excess carbon dioxide will be there, they are not going to return back, they will come again. It means the temperature keep on increasing, which causes the melting of ice on polars. All of you know polar ice glaciers are melting regularly, which is a dangerous sign for our human survival. Now after that we'll go to the next, thermal power plants. Thermal power plants, what they are? In thermal power plants, the heat energy we produce, like when we burn fossil fuels, and this heat energy is used to convert water into steam. Now this steam has lot of kinetic energy, and when this high pressurized with steam with lot of kinetic energy strikes on the blades of the turbine, which are further connected with generator with the help of a shaft, when they move, definitely the coil of the generator also moves, which produces electricity under the effect of electromagnetic induction. Now another is hydropower plants. In hydropower plants, we generally store water at very high position. Its height is very high, it has lot of potential energy, and when we allow this water to fall down, the whole of the potential energy gets converted into kinetic energy. It means the flowing water which is coming from certain height has a very high amount of kinetic energy, and when this kinetic energy of the water, flowing water, strikes on the blades of the turbine, it rotates it, and as the turbines are connected with coil of the generator with the help of a shaft, as coil rotates, again because of EMI, electromagnetic induction, the production of electricity takes place. Now we talk about advantages. Flowing water is a renewable source of energy. Yes, of course. It doesn't cause any pollution. It's a clean fuel. And if we store water in dams, it also control our floods and all this stuff, and we can further use them for irrigation. Now what are the disadvantages? If we talk about, the initial cost is very high. That means when we construct dams, construction cost is very high. Large area of land gets submerged, and the decomposition of vegetation produces methane gas, which is a greenhouse effect. Definitely, when if we are constructing dams, a lot of water will come to the large land and it will submerge them, and as decomposition of vegetation is also there in dams, which also produces methane gas, and it also causes greenhouse effect. And definitely, if lot of land will be flooded by the water, people has to leave their land. So this is also very painful if we talk about mentally and physically. It means it gives lot of pain if somebody has to move and has to leave their house where they are living from so many years. Now thermal power plant, in this diagram you can see there is one boiler. In boiler we are using fossil fuels. This is producing large amount of heat energy, and the water is converted into steam, and we allow this steam to fall on the turbine. When turbine rotates, along with generator, dynamo also rotates, and we get electricity. As you can see, the one bulb is glowing there. Now we talk about hydroelectric power generator. In this you can see that there is water is coming, there is a storage reservoir. This flowing water strikes with the turbine rotates, it is further connected with generator, and generator rotates, and we get electricity because generator works on the condition of electromagnetic induction, and the water also goes down. It means there is a outlet from where the water can go out, and we can further use it. Now another point which we are talking about, biomass energy. Now how we use biomass energy? Waste material and dead parts of living things like are called biomass, like wood, animal dung, vegetable waste, agricultural waste, sewage, etc. Biomass is decomposed by anaerobic microorganisms to produce biogas. Most of we has heard about it in so many villages. Still we are using biogas. So in biogas there is a mixture of gases containing methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen and hydrogen sulfide. Now what we do, actually we establish a very long storage tank, and we cover this storage tank with the help of a dome, which can be floating, which can be fixed also. This is also known as digester tank. Now it has two entry point. One is entry point and one is outlet chamber. One is inlet chamber, another is outlet chamber. From inlet chamber, you put slurry inside this tank. Slurry is actually mixture of water, this all biomass energy, and we keep it undisturbed for a long period of time. And now because of this, the conversion of this mass energy, biomass, into biogas takes place, and the rest of the part which is not useful, it goes out from the outlet tank. It flows out actually, and we can use this biogas for cooking food as well as we can use for lighting purposes. Now the slurry which is left, because from the outlet the remaining portion comes out, can be used as a manure for crop, because it has a lot of nitrogen and phosphorus. Now you can see there is one diagram in front of you. There is one mixing tank over there. Now the slurry of cattle dung and water we are just putting. This is the ground level. This is the inlet chamber, and this is a dung and water mixture inside the plant. And you can see that there is a production of biogas which can come out from the outlet. There is one gas valve also through which we can control the amount of gas which is coming out of it. There is slab cover, and there is the overflow tank also, which contain that manure which we can use as a manure. This is also known as outlet chamber. So as this plant has a fixed dome, it is not floating, that's why it is known as fixed dome type biogas plant. Now we talk about next is wind energy. So again, the wind energy has got lot of kinetic energy, and when this flowing wind strikes on the blades of the windmill, it acts as a turbine. Now that rotates the coil of the generator, and with the rotation of the coil of generator, and because of effect of electromagnetic induction, the production of current takes place, which we use to give power to different parts of our villages and towns. You must have seen lot of windmills if you have gone to Gujarat, or there are so many places where we are using this phenomenon. Now what is the advantage? It is a renewable source of energy, sure. It does not cause pollution, this is also very sure. The recurring cost is very less, yes. What are the disadvantages? Now it depends upon wind. If wind is there, then it will work, otherwise it will not work. And at least 15 km per hour of the speed of the wind should be. Less than this, it is not useful at all. And secondly, it also occupies large amount of land. Now windmill, you can see there is one windmill and there is another windmill. This is the oldest version on the left hand side, whereas on the new version we are using wind energy farms. Like you can see, there is a wind energy farm also. Now we talk about non-conventional sources of energy, and first is coming solar energy. Now solar energy we obtain from the sun. We use the solar energy for heating purpose also. We can produce electricity directly with the help of solar cell panel, and we can cook food also, and we can rise the temperature of water, which we can use as for different purposes. So first we talk about solar cooker. Now solar cooker, what happened, we have one box which is made up of an insulator. That means it allow the heat energy to come, but it doesn't allow the heat energy to escape out from it. We have a plane mirror which actually trap the heat energy and doesn't allow it to go out. Basically it gives us a greenhouse effect. There is one reflector with the help of which we can focus large amount of sun rays on the plane mirror, so that we can have large amount of heat energy. And when the heat energy is trapped inside it, so temperature is near about 100 to 140 degrees Celsius, so we can cook the food which is present inside it. But remember one thing, we cannot fry anything, because for fry large amount of temperature is required, which is not possible in solar cookers. Now there is another solar water heater. In solar water heater we use the same phenomenon, that a solar water heater has an insulated box painted black inside with a system of copper tubes. Again the solar cooker also we use the same black color utensils and black color cover, because black color has a tendency to trap the heat energy. That's why we use black color. Here we are also using black color. Now it is converted with a glass plate which allows heat to enter inside but does not allow the escape out. That means the greenhouse effect normally. When water flows through the copper tube, it absorbs heat and becomes hot. We have solar cells. Solar cells are also device which converts solar energy into electrical energy. And solar cells are made up of silicon and germanium, gallium, etc. They are semiconductors basically. A single solar cell produces a voltage of about 0.5 to 1 volt and produces about 0.7 watt electricity. So several solar cells are arranged in a solar panels to produce more electricity. Now what are the advantages? It's used as a renewable source of energy. It is pollution free and we can use in the remote areas where power supply is not possible. What are the disadvantages? Now we need special grid of silicon, which is expensive actually. That's why solar cells are not easy to purchase. Now silver we use, clear, so that we can connect the cells. Silver is also very expensive. Now the current produces direct current, and to convert it to AC increase the cost. Whatever the current we produce, it is direct current, but in our homes we use alternating current, so it requires lot of amount of so that we can use those devices. So here you can see there is one box type solar cooker in front of you, another is solar water heater. Now solar cell concept, you can see there is anti-reflecting coating over there. One is front contact, then the back contact is there. P-type semiconductor we have used, and N-type. We have used both P-type as well as N-type semiconductor. And now the flow of current in the bulb takes place, because of which it is glowing. Now you can see also solar cell panels are also there. Solar lamps are also which we use in our villages. Now we talk about energy from the sea. Once we have tidal energy, so we know that there is one high tide and low tide, because in high tide water level rises up, whereas in low tide the water level is low. So during high tide, when the water level is high, we allow water to enter in a dome where it rotates the blades of the turbine, and we get electricity because the turbine is further connected with the generator. Now during low tide, when the water level is low, we allow the water to fall back from dome to the sea. Again it rotates the turbine, and again we get the electricity. It means in both conditions we are getting electricity. Next is sea wave energy. In sea wave energy also we have lot of kinetic energy of the sea waves, which can be used to rotate the turbine blades of the turbine, and turbine is further connected with the generator, and we get electricity because of EMF. Another is ocean thermal energy. Actually, if we see, there is a temperature difference between the surface of the sea and if we go below it, and if the temperature difference is near about 20 degrees Celsius, this temperature is sufficient to convert volatile substance like ammonia into vapors. Now this highly pressurized steam, when we convert into vapor, is allowed to strike on the blade of the turbine. As the blade rotates, turbine rotates, and turbine is further connected with the generator with the help of a shaft, and we get electricity. So now you can see there is tidal energy. There is main valve enclosed, turbine in operation, valve open, and this is in this way how the turbine moves, when the water is going inside it and when the water is coming outside. In both situations this turbine rotates and we get the electricity. Now you can see there is one OWC type generator. Water level is going inside, it is rotating the blade of the turbine, we getting electricity. When it is falling back also, it is again producing electricity. Now you can see there is one ocean thermal energy. There is a schematic of an OTEC floating platform, so no need to learn this one, or only understand it can be better. Next is geothermal energy. Now by the geothermal energy, Because of the automatic or natural phenomena of nuclear fission inside the earth, because of radioactive element present inside the earth, load of heat energy is produced. Nobody is doing nuclear reaction over there. It is of own knowledge. Now this nuclear energy produces large amount of heat energy, and if the water is there nearby that area, it converts into steam, and we use that steam to rotate the blades of the turbine and produce electricity. Suppose if water is not present, that can be done with the help of artificial conditions. But anyhow, if we are getting geothermal energy anywhere, so because of the natural heating effect of earth, we can use it to produce electricity. You can see there is a geothermal power plant also. That is, we are using this heat energy to run turbines, and we are getting electricity. Now nuclear energy we are also using. We are performing nuclear energy reactions in the nuclear power plant. One is fission, another is fission. Fission is that part of the energy in which a big nucleus divided into small nucleus and produces large amount of heat energy. Whereas in fusion we join the small particles to form a big one. Now, advantages of nuclear energy: it produces a very large amount of energy per unit mass than any other source of energy. It means its calorific value is very high. If safety measures we take, then it is also environmental friendly. What are the disadvantages? Cost. The cost of a nuclear plant is very, very high. So, and definitely we don't get a nuclear fuel easily. Now, when nuclear reaction takes place, it produces harmful nuclear wastes, which is not easy to dispose of. And if it is come in contact with the humans, it will cause more destruction. You can see that the slow moving neutron is hitting the bigger size nucleus and divide it into two parts. Nuclear fission chain reaction, one is dividing 2, 2 is dividing 4, like this. It keep on increasing. This is also known as uncontrolled chain reaction. Now what is nuclear fission? Nuclear fission, we join the small particles to fuse or to convert into one particle. Now we have proton and we have neutron. You can see the given example. Two neutrons are actually submerging into each other, and the production of helium and nitrogen, which could causes large amount of heat energy. As you can see that there is a deuterium. If we hit, we get neutron. If tritium hits, we get helium. And of course, energy will also release out nuclear fission reaction, which is more than fusion reaction. So this ends your sources of energy, students. So please work hard on it. Thank you.